and we could start.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Public Outreach Committee of the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District for Monday, July 26th, 2021. And with that, I've called the meeting to order. And could you please take a roll call for us, Joelle?
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Malik,
Yep.
Chair Adams.
Aye. Yes.
Let
Present.
the record reflect that all members are present.
And I got a notice from you indicating there are no members of the public, but if anyone has shown in, could we please see if there are any comments from the public?
Yes, so if you would like to make public comment at this time, please signal to me by raising your hand. Let's give them a couple seconds here. And Chair Adams, I do not see anybody with their hands raised.
Great, thank you. We'll continue on then and go to our action items, which we have one, which is to consider adopting the minutes from the June 28th Public Outreach Committee meeting. Have we had the opportunity to review the minutes? My colleagues?
Let's see, I did, and I didn't find anything.
Excellent. Safwat, did the minutes look all right to you as well?
Yes. So I make a motion to approve it.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you so much. So we have a motion, a second. All in favor? Oh, we have a roll call vote, don't we? Okay,
Yes.
here we go.
Director Malik,
Yes.
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Adams,
Aye.
the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have several discussion items today. I think we'll have some good information and some fun things to talk about. And the first will be an update on our summer 2021 newsletter. So I will look to Stephanie for that presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So as the committee may recall, we had discussed producing a newsletter that initially we wanted to try to get out in July. However, we've had delays caused by the LAFCO, and so that's kind of been our big issue. Is one of the lead articles was going to be an update on where we were and what the next steps were with the Measure J process. Other topics that were to be included are drought, seawater intrusion, steelhead rescues, and information about the rebate program. So I guess the first thing we really need to talk about is whether we want to proceed with a newsletter at this time, given that we don't have the Big Bang article that we had talked about, number one. Second is we have done some costing on what it would cost to actually to print and mail like a 2-page newsletter to approximately, I think there's almost 58,000 addresses within the zip codes in the Water Management District. And that cost, for your information, comes to about a total of $19,400. Yeah. And of that, about 13,600 is actual postage costs, and then it's about 5,800 to have the mailing house do the printing, prepping, and mailing of those newsletters. So that's another thing to consider. I have done some brainstorming. Dave and I talked a little bit about it. We were looking at the possibility of doing some other ways of distributing the information for your consideration. And that might be reaching out to things like the Chambers of Commerce, the Public Water Now, Big Sur Land Trust, Land Watch, Carmel Valley Association, Parks District, Sustainable, organizations, Association of Realtors, and asking them to mail their, the people on their mailing lists and give them the information about either a link or a QR code that they could access the newsletter electronically rather than having a mailed document. The other thing is that we also talked a little bit about the possibility. What we could do would be to take out an ad in the Herald, the Pine Cone, the Weekly, and the Times, and have that ad direct people to the electronic newsletter if they're interested in it, again, with the QR code and with a link address. So anyway, those are just some of the ideas that we've come up with to have you discuss today. And
yeah, and the other thing that that we've talked about is when you go to our website, there's a little button at the very top that says sign up for our newsletter. Turns out that that goes into a program called MailChimp that manages email addresses for interested parties. Our MailChimp master email database includes about 730 or so points of contact. Many of them are duplicates. When Sarah sends out the board packet, that's a 134 person email list. It's better maintained than older email lists. And those are people who've said, hey, I'm interested in what the district's doing, sign me up. So we thought we could start to leverage these email lists a little better as well. The problem is once we went in there and looked, there's old email addresses, people who no longer work at places like Big Sur Land Trust or City of Seaside and what have you. So curating an email list is something that would have to be done fairly regularly as well, which again is kind of why we thought about the idea that Stephanie suggested, which is if there's a variety of quote unquote partner agencies out there that we can just do a blast and say, hey, something of interest for you to share with your constituents, and then they can, they have the power of feeling like they haven't given up their email database, but they can choose to forward our email, as a point of contact. So we're working up maybe a little bit better email strategy because of these high costs. I do believe that when we get ready to have the hearing of public necessity, that some form of very thorough contact with the public will need to be done. But absent that right now, all we're looking at are the topics that we've talked about. There's some interesting stuff, and you're going to see a little bit later this steelhead rescues and things like that. But we're back to where we were 5-6 years ago, where we only printed about 100, had them available in the district lobby for folks, and then just made it known that the summer newsletter's out, the winter newsletter's out. And with that, Steph, did you print up anything, or did we have any examples from Athena that we're going to look at, or just talk about those the costs?
Oh yeah, Athena, did you have some samples of the newsletters that you could share with?
Yeah, of course. I have right here. So this is the water district's previous versions of their newsletters. And you can see it's kind of just like image, caption, and columns of copy. And these are also examples. So when I was working on the quoting for the pricing, I received 2 different quotes. One was for a newsletter that would come in an envelope with your guys' logo printed with a return address as well. It would just be a simple one-pager newsletter, and that's a more costly way to go about it, just because of the printing of the envelopes and all that. And there's also the version of just doing it's called a self mailer, where you have room for your guys' return address and logos, and it's just printed and mailed directly like this. So that's a more cost-effective example, and it can be done in a bunch of different layouts. It can be folded, bilingual. The layout's really up to how much copy we actually do receive. So to save on cost, I would recommend the self-mailer. But as Stephanie was talking, if we want to go in the direction of electronically distributing the newsletter, there's also that option as well.
Can we make that a little more snazzy and inviting rather than it being just a dry letter that people don't usually read?
Yeah. So there's definitely the option to include, imagery or QR codes that would be more interactive and help you guys get more access to your website visits and all of that. But yeah,
Athena, can
our
you
design team,
hold up our current one?
yeah, this was the previous version.
Yeah. So
The 4 4 pages. It's not just front, back, it's inside it as well, correct?
This is a one pager, so this is just front and back. Yeah.
But we have done the 4-pager, and Supervisor, very similar to Pebble Beach Community Services District. They do a 4-pager in color with a fold over self-mailer. And I think that the Parks District has done that, but they tend to also use their Get Outdoors theme with all the different programs as a touch piece. But yeah, I was thinking the 4-page style. We went to the single sheet, 2 pages. I think that was the last time because we were in transition between our public outreach coordination at that time. And so we just put something together. But typically our Water Matters had previously been a 4-pager.
Yeah, this is
I
an
have a
actual,
4-pager too.
this is an example of a 4-pager. So it would fold, so the front would be your guys' address and then it opens up. So like you would get the whole 4 pages and we could do
Right.
full on color and photos as well. So this is a self-mailer option.
So just for comparison, what did we get? What would the $20,000 get us? Is that the full 4-pager mailed?
That would be a self-mailer, yes.
Self-mailer.
For 4 pages, or forgive me,
Mhm.
2 sheets.
2 front and back. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if we were talking about doing put it in an envelope, which I don't think is very appealing to any of us, how much would that cost?
Ooh,
That one
right.
came about to 26,
2,600.
about
Okay.
just the under, yeah. And the biggest cost is the postage. That's about 13 or 14. And that's because you guys have the bulk mail permit rather than a nonprofit permit.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And then Stephanie had mentioned doing newspaper ads. Can you tell me what the cost of that would be?
So that varies. Currently we have some going on. We do monthly branding ads for the water district. Let me see if I could pull up a.
I think you'd probably be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about $5,000 to run ads.
In
For
that-
multiple publications, yes. Yeah.
I
okay.
mean, for one in the 3 major papers,
The Herald, or I'm sorry, the Weekly, Cedar, and Pinecone.
and not
See,
the, okay.
Well, and then the question would be, do we want to include it in the Herald for this
Mhm.
particular case?
And we could definitely run a cost estimate for that as well with different publications and do an Excel sheet for you guys.
And then if we were doing it primarily just online and using social media to the degree that we do, and also hoping that people would forward it on, the primary cost of that would be setting it up
Mhm.
and then the staff time or the time that it would take to draft it.
Right, the design time, inserting the copy, and there are options to be able to purchase email list. I'm not sure how easy that would be for you guys or how honed in we can get on certain people, but is that option. But yes, the main cost would be design time and setting up and emailing.
Any general guesstimation of what the cost would be for that?
I would have to talk to my design team and estimate based on hourly.
Yeah, I think it's actually part of the retainer.
Yeah, I
for
do
this year, so
also
it's
believe
not-
it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's included in the fee that we have
Mhm.
with you guys with TMD. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you. That was really helpful information.
Thank
Amy?
Who's our intended audience? You said that there were like 100, how many did you quote, Stephanie, to mail? 150?
No, so
Well,
we've got, yeah, so there's 58,000 addresses, so in our service area, so
Okay.
just a blanket mailer. On the electronic side, the people who've requested committee meetings and board meeting notices, that's 134 on that list. And we think there's some duplicates.
Yeah.
And then the MailChimp master list is over 700, but just in a quick perusal of it, I'm in there 4 times. So if that happens with any frequency, it's probably overkill.
And 58,000. So how many hookups do we have? Do we just have,
Yeah, so there's about 40,000
yeah,
connections.
40,000?
And some of the overlap are well owners who are not in this, the CalAm system,
Okay,
the Seaside Municipal System, Tehama, Montera, and then Carmel Valley folks who are not part of CalAm, and then a bunch of the PO Box owners. So you'll get them twice. Well, no, actually, if Carmel, you only get them through their PO Box.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of folks who have, as second homes, they have addresses and PO Boxes.
And this is just based on zip codes and bulk mail. So that's, you can't pull certain people out of that one without doing just the entire
Yeah.
zip.
I think as we consider all of these things, the other thing we need to consider is, what do we have to share right now? When you ask the question, Amy, what is the audience? I think the other question is, what is the message? And at this point, we don't have anything definitive to sort of update people on. But in many ways, it's important to say that we don't have an update.
Yeah, so interestingly, you saw the Herald article on fish rescues, right?
yeah, great. article.
So, and that would have been something that would have gone into the newsletter. Hey, it's a dry year. We're in drought. Here are some drought tips. And here's what we're doing to be good stewards of the environment. But a lot of times those work better with our branding ads or, news reports like the one that went out. I mean, that did all the, I know the Herald circulation is way down, but that did all the public outreach that we really would need on that subject. We do know that at some point we're going to have to do some additional public outreach on drought because, we're almost done with July. The numbers don't look really bad. We've had this marine layer pretty much more extensively. It's been a grayer July than previous Julys. But as we head into August, that's a peak month. So some messaging on that, but we may just, expend our monthly branding ad for that purpose. It's Car Week coming up, and we used to pretty much always have a Car Week, conserve water here while you visit the Monterey Peninsula type ad. We're 2 weeks away from that, so I'm not sure if we're going to be on top of that one this go around.
We will be.
Even put those. Where do the visitors, what do they pick up to see?
Well, so the pine cone goes crazy. That's like the biggest pine cone edition of the year, typically, with all of the that and the AT&T are the two that they really pack in. Those special sections with history and photos and things like that. So we try to get them at the front end as people are coming into town. Also because those kind of remain there in the stacks and stacks at your, local Safeway and what have you. So, but it's a difficult message too, because, our biggest advocates when they're on top of things are actually the servers in the restaurants, because your first meal out, if you're told you can't just get water, you need to ask for the water, it gets you thinking about water use while you're here. And for several years, we were pretty good as a community about that. And then they got lax and, but we don't want to be the nanny state. So, our ads have always geared towards, we're a water short community. Think about shorter showers. And, I think there were 3 or 4 bullets in most of these ads of things to do as a visitor to keep it, keep it short and keep it conserving. But we'd have to pull those out. And there's usually, a pretty eye-catching car with, I think one year we had a very nice curvilicious ruby red sports car that was, attractive to the eye, that drew you in. And so, I think we're looking at that again, or maybe even just rerunning an old one, but it's hard.
Sorry,
Yeah.
to that point, we actually are working on a Car Week ad for you guys, and we should have something done and prepared by the end of this week for you guys to review. So
And
Awesome.
what would be the positioning of those? Where would we?
Yeah, they've been what are they, third of a page?
they're half
Half-
page, yeah. So your
half-
guys, monthly are doing half pages in Cedar Street, Pinecone, and the Weekly.
Yeah.
As well as posting on social media for you guys.
And you've already got the content based on what we had done in the past.
Yeah, so I was able to pull previous ads and we were able to pull copy, and we've gone through images of, nice muscle cars that we want to show. And yeah, by the end of the week, we show something for you guys.
So just talking with all of you, Amy, just a quick thing before I call on you. Do you feel though that there should be an additional message, a drought message that's stronger than what we've put in the past? Has there been consideration for that? In the ads,
Yeah, I agree that we can take advantage of that right now. So I just have to look at the copy, but Stephanie and Nathaniel, when you guys do share, let's just take a look at it and see if it's bold enough to remind people, because you get, visitors from all over who are not in drought.
Yeah, they're happy to be out of rain.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, Amy, there we go.
No, that's fine. Don't all the hotels and, any of the visitor accommodations, don't they all have a pretty strong language and some kind of a card in the bathrooms? They have everywhere I've ever been, and they have to pay for the water. So
yeah, and that's actually discussion item number 4. I'm not sure we have the artwork back yet.
Yeah, I've got it ready.
Okay.
okay.
Start rolling along here then. I am going to make a great statement here, but I kind of am feeling that the position of the committee would be not to do a newsletter right now, not to spend the 20 grand, which we have to put toward LAFCO's determination anyway, not to spend the money to do a newsletter at this point, but let's focus in on doing the ads as we talked about, but primarily with the with Car Week, with the drought approach. I think is that what I'm hearing from staff essentially?
Yeah, that's our recommendation. And then let us bone up a little bit more on building a better email contact list. Because MailChimp is very much like Constant Contact.
I always say that too.
Like a little spot of tea. And they do an effective job. And I'm sure you all get your inbox littered with things where they've gotten your email address and they manage it with Constant Contact or MailChimp, or there's 3 or 4 out there. But as I said, we've just discovered that the list is not extensive. It's nowhere near 40,000 people. And Stephanie was telling me it still has, or just as an example, it's got Sarah Hardgrave at Big Sur Land Trust.
Right.
It's got Tim O'Halloran at City of Seaside. It's got Rick Riedel, who's now working in Salinas at City of Seaside. And so no one's really gone through it with the knowledge of, do these people still work here or not? And so.
Well, I think that your idea, maybe not now, but I like, Stephanie, what you mentioned about sending it to like Carmel Valley Association and Land Watch and all those, because they have big mailing lists.
Mike DeLappa.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to get them out, I get those all the time from organizations. I get, something that they have, not junk, basically. And it could have, obviously you could have an invitation to, be on our email list. And that way, I don't know how many you get, but you could get people who wanted to hear directly from us and build our email list that way.
Well, and interestingly, to Director Malik's point, with 4-color printing and jazz it up a little bit, you're not bound by the 2-page or 4-page format that you are in paper. You can do 3 pages or 1.5 pages or, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And you hit it with the email blast, the summer newsletter's here. And if you care enough, you open it up, and if you see something interesting, you take 10 minutes out of your day to look at it.
Yeah.
Is LAFCO and Luis Alejo on the mailing list?
I don't know, but Dan
I
Turner.
don't think so.
Yeah, Dan
They,
Turner.
but seriously, they should be.
Yeah, they absolutely should.
Each supervisor should be.
I don't know how Dan Turner intends to use it, but he seems to be circulating a letter to the editor about Luis. So there'll be a little bit of possible fallout for him personally, not us as the district, but
I saw that letter and it's way too long to be a letter to the editor. So that's the good part. They, they wouldn't even approach it. It's huge.
right.
Well, I'm not even going to ask the content at this point.
I'll send it to you, Mary, if you want it.
Making sure it's my personal email address. Okay, so have we covered enough on the newsletter? Do we have some?
Yeah, I think you've given us some good direction. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want to see what I actually did find a couple of the Car Week ads if you want to see what they actually look like.
Sure. Do you have something you can
Yeah,
share
let me
with
share real quickly here. Oh, where is it? Oh, darn it.
But I agree with the supervisor's point of, beefing up the drought message a little bit tighter.
Okay, so this was one of them that we used.
Like it.
And then that was another kind of the car shot.
That's nice.
So yeah, but it's pretty much like, obviously the text is all kind of geared toward the visitor.
Mhm.
But anyway, so those are what we've done in the past.
Mhm.
These are very catchy.
I was just going to make another comment when we can do it. I think that those ads right now that are, I don't know if they're in anything else, but they're constantly in the Herald. They're the what do they call themselves now? The not Chomp, but the other one.
Montage, yeah.
The montage ads.
Where they're falling all over and
They're
tripping and
falling
hurting.
all over. Yeah, they actually, they attract attention. A little humor goes a long way because it catches people. So, I mean, even your pedal to the metal, it's friendly. So I think humor is never to be underestimated.
Good point. Okay, well, so you feel like you have some direction, and shall we go on to the next item on our agenda then?
Yeah, and this is, I'll take this one.
Thank you.
This one's purely informational to you. As part of our application package to LAFCO, the LAFCO actually said, don't worry about notifying property owners. They will do that. Well, what they meant was for the public hearing, when and if the public hearing happens. They've inquired as to whether we've contacted the property owners so that they know that this is coming. And we said, oh, well, we thought you would because that's what it said in the application package. Because this is, 58 parcels, some of which are owned by common owners, but call it 50 owners who probably aren't fully aware that their property is being targeted for coming into the district. I believe we need to have a workshop that says, here's what's going on, here's why we're doing it, and if it happens, here are the practical implications to you. There would be no change in your water service immediately. You would not be affected financially because they did not participate in the water supply charge Prop 218 experience, so we can't just slap it on them. So, answers some frequently asked questions and so forth. Given that LAFCO's kind of kicked us down to late October for our hearing, I think that if we target either the week of or the week right after Labor Day, when people are kind of back from summer vacations and so forth, we'll host a workshop electronically like this via Zoom, put out a public notice. It'll have to be individualized. So it'll be 58 different letters for each of the 58 APNs. The vacant lots, you know, they're going to go to some owner in some foreign space, you know, in some other part of the country or the state. And then those that have addresses, we need to go back through RealQuest with it and make sure that the owner and the addressee are the same person. But anyway, it could end up being duplicate letters to certain properties, one going to an away address and one going to the local address. But I just wanted to let you know that we're going to do that. We'll schedule it. The board will find out about it, but it will be the first effort at outreach if these owners have not stumbled upon us yet with all of the news reports. And so we'll be pushing those letters out here in probably the next week or two. I think, Joelle, you said you're going on vacation the last week of August, so we'll get them out there probably the second week of August, maybe even the first week of August, and have a meeting. So that's all that one's about.
Good.
Okay, so Dave and I had a little bit of a conversation earlier today talking about LAFCO. And I don't know if this is a good time to bring this up, but we will. I think it was, who mentioned Dan Turner and my colleague this week. So at any rate, there has been so much public outcry in the media about the activities that took place at LAFCO that I was thinking that it would be a good idea for us to write some sort of a response, something coming from Dave, just acknowledging the feelings of the community and they're upset over what has been happening or what has happened, and kind of take a high road. But for those people who are not aware of what the impact is of their decision on us and how, you know, things are being slowed down, you know, we were ready to move ahead, you know, fulfilling the voters' will and ensuring that we're moving forward in the right direction. But, you know, we need to let you know that this is what's happened. And that's the kind of thing that we could probably put into some sort of a newsletter. It could be the lead to a newsletter if this is what we choose to do, you know, a virtual newsletter. But wanted to see if that's the kind of thing that you think would be a good idea for us to consider.
I
think it'd be a
absolutely,
great idea.
I support that 100%. We need to be proactive.
Mhm. I think we should. We've got a great opportunity here to be the good guys. And I think it's one way of doing it. Amy?
I think one thing that people need to be reminded, and you know, people mentioned it to me, talked about LAFCO, they don't connect what's happening with LAFCO with carrying out the will of the people, carrying out what the vote meant, and you know how the vote meant you were going to have this process. And I think lots of people don't get when they say nothing's going on, and you say LAFCO, they don't understand that you know that we're on this train and we have to
Yeah.
go through LAFCOville to get where we're going.
Well, and you know, they also don't understand. So we had the real estate appraiser and the valuation team pretty much focused on last October. I know we talked about this at our last meeting. And then when the threats of CEQA lawsuit occurred, we said, okay, we're going to lose a couple of months, kind of getting our ducks in a row, but it'll be early 2021. And so most of their work was still going to carry forward. But if we're an entire year behind, a lot of this appraisal work that leads to the bona fide offer is going to have to be updated. So there's hidden costs involved in the number of man hours and going back in and looking at comparables and updating data. So, you know, time is actually money in this case. It's not just the $70,000 that we're going to have to pay if it goes to that. It's I would expect, and we've pretty much run through the budget from our attorneys, outside attorneys. So we're gonna have to reauthorize some more money for them. They're the ones who will be working on pulling the findings together for a vote on public necessity. So their work is, they finished their first memorandum last July, waiting for Dave and Fran and me to kind of go through it. Now we've got some new material, thanks to Tom McBride and others, so that, we'll be updating those. But there's a whole bunch of new work that has to occur because of the passage of time that's going to cost our constituents money.
Exactly.
So that would be a piece of the message to get through,
Yes.
that the Measure J train does go through LAFCO town, and the failure to act in a timely fashion just costs us all more money. There's ways to take the high road and still kind of shame some of the low road players
Mhm.
with, if we can finesse it. So I will work on something and I'll send it to you individually for your suggestions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be terrific, Dave. I think it would really be, it's a great opportunity for us. And I think the timing is right. At this point, I think the timing is right. Sometimes people ask about how come these guys are on LAFCO when it has nothing to do, with our issues. And it's the same blockade on virtually every other thing that comes forward.
Well, and interestingly, if you saw Director Malik's email, good eye. The contract with this consultant is open until March, I believe. And, Kate McKenna has indicated, well, if there's no additional work that's going to be requested, then we'll be ready to go in October, or maybe it would get held over to December. Well, if they've got an extra 3 months padded in there, she's anticipating that they may ask for more stuff, which is just absurd.
How are they going to pay for it? I mean, if we give them 70,000 or whatever, then we don't want to be asked for more.
And one of my concerns that we've fought against is if the rate case gets approval and gets a decision, then CalAM's attorneys will now be in a position to say, well, now there is new data. You should run all of these scenarios again, to which we say, no, because they were designed to be indicative of a direction to go, not constantly updated with each new piece of information. And our board has enough information to make their decision. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that we're facing, is the addition of time can result in a detour. So stay tuned on that one.
Yeah. Glad you're doing the letters.
Not to harp on this, but even though the proposal from the consultant says clearly 50,000 with 20,000 cushion, when LAFCO wrote their contract with them, they lumped it all to 70,000. They did not distinguish between 50 and 20.
Yeah. And Kate said something to me like, well, 50's to get through the hearing. And I thought, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's the other 24 in your mind?
Yeah.
Well, since we're paying it, we have no opportunity to ask them to clarify that language.
It is already clarified in the proposal from the consultant that they clearly say it is 50,000 for the study and 20,000. I don't remember what they said about the 20,000, but it is clearly divided that way.
Yeah.
Well, it's really absolutely against everything that democracy stands for. It's really.
Well, and just to put LAFCO to bed here, as I said, I'll work up something for you to look at, but I have noticed through this whole process that they react way more to CalAM's threatening attorneys than they do to us. And we're a duly created, legislatively created 42-year-old organization with elected members who deserve a little bit more respect for their positions. You know, if you've said, hey, we're comfortable as a board in moving forward to the next steps, they should accept that at face value, and they're not.
Right.
And our first attempt at a resolution to go to LAFCO, well, we noticed it incorrectly, so we re-noticed it and then adopted it again. It would have been accepted by LAFCO and not scrutinized at all had Cal-Am's attorneys not come in and said, oh, you left this out, that out, the third thing out, you know, these should have been in your resolution, which you read through the resolutions that LAFCO has approved. None of that stuff has been consistently applied. And so LAFCO re-scrutinized its own application requirements based on Cal-Am's letter. And so we had to, you know, we took a third approval of it, I forget, in April, maybe it was this year. So we're losing the credibility. No, I think we come across as very credible, but we're losing the war on when we say, look, you've got enough information, move forward with a decision. We're losing that battle.
Well, we don't have any kind of a stick.
Yeah.
We don't have any kind of a stick. I mean, if it probably exists, but perhaps we're really unwilling to use it. You know?
Yeah, the only stick we have is they're going to get sued by us if they don't activate these latent powers. And so if we do everything we can and try to be a good actor and we don't get what you're looking for, they get sued. And they know it. And the only other way we can sue them is if they fail to act on declaring our application complete. I had that conversation with Kate on Friday. I said, so we had this property tax analysis, right? She's like, yeah, I've sent it over to the auditor controller and asked them to review it and approve your methodology. I said, well, Kate, it doesn't matter if they agree with it or disagree with it. The condition for completeness was that we submit it, that we have somebody that we did it, and we have submitted it to you. So you should be hastening to get us a notice of completion, or yeah, notice of completion. Yeah. But if she did that too soon, you know, before tomorrow, then she'd have to hold the hearing in September instead of October. She says, I'm not intentionally being slow on this. I want the county auditor controller's office to tell us whether it's correct or not. Again, it was another one of those cases where we don't care. We went on and hired an expert. We have to believe in our expert, and we filed it. So get moving on telling us it's complete.
So what's holding her?
She really does want to hear the county auditor controller say, yeah, we've looked at their methodology and it makes sense. Because these numbers will take on a life of their own at some point where, you know, the county's going to be out $300,000 and school district will be out a certain amount and so forth. So
do you know when that's going to them, or has it already been received by RUPA?
It's already gone to them. The problem is, as Kate says, but you know, because I think the supervisors are taking a couple of weeks off, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and she's like, so that's when a lot of the county employees will take their vacations, and it's gonna be tough getting their attention. You know, so it's supposed, she asked for comments to be back by next week. So, this week, the week we're in right now. So.
Ask for comments from the auditor controller.
From the auditor controller, but like Nick Chulos is out. It's unclear whether Joey Nolasco in the auditor controller's staff is out this week or next week, and you know, so we're at the mercy of vacation schedules, I guess.
I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what Mary was talking about.
Because apparently people at the county take vacation, unlike the water management district.
What Mary was talking about and you, Dave, about there seems to be a lack or a loss of respect, understanding of the district. I think you can, you know, just by this letter you're talking about, I think that you can get some back. I mean, you can write it in such a way that it will command respect and understanding for the incredible number of things that this district is responsible for.
It's the will of the people.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
we're going against the whole idea of democracy in my mind.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to just highlight, 3 or 4 key points. And the voters are one, the duly elected and appointed 42-year-old institutional public agency with the ability to make its own decisions is
Mhm.
one.
it's good.
Time being money is one. And then kind of the usurpation of a local issue by non-participating members of LAFCO who really have not been able to explain what their interest is. But anyway, we'll just see what comes out in draft form. And
Well, thank you. I'm delighted that we're going to do this. I think it'll make us feel better, if nothing else, for God's sakes. Really.
Now, where is it gonna go? Did we,
I think we'll probably try to craft it as a guest opinion.
okay,
And we do have some allies who tend to grab these guest opinions and then recirculate them.
Right.
So
That'll be good.
okay, good.
Okay, anything else on this issue?
nope.
Well, let's move back to the aforementioned review on item number 4, the review of the hospitality sector water awareness placard.
All right, and I am going to share my screen right now. So this is actually, so we had TMD take what we've had in the past for the hotel, reusing your towels, your linens, and then let's see, we have the towels, linens, and restaurant. Oops, sorry, let me get rid of that one. Restaurant cards. And so I wanted you just to see what these looked like and to decide whether or not you want us to, there's our water matters last time we did it. So this is the example of what is used in the restaurant for water service on request only. It's a table tent that we've printed on heavy duty plastic that they can use for the tables. So this is just what our look and feel has been going forward in the past. We're getting ready to reprint, but I did want to get your feedback as to whether you think we should be looking at a more pizzazzy design, or whether we're good going forward again and reprinting these materials, and just kind of get some idea of what your thoughts are on this.
So Stephanie, on the table tent, there was a pitcher and a glass of water, correct?
Yeah, this is the,
Yeah, I see it, which would be a little more visible in
Yeah.
person than on this screen.
I like
And
that.
then and the linen one, are those linens in the background?
yeah, I was just, hang on a second. I'm trying to get my other one to come up, but I think I can't get it to come up because it's hiding behind my share screen. So let's see, actually. Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. I've got my little directions up on top, and I can't see how to click on those other ones. So, but anyway, those are, yeah, there's a towel kind of background on one. And Athena, do you have those handy, or was that all?
I have them, but I am on my phone, so I don't think I'd be able to share my
okay.
screen. But I could email them to you really quick. Did you want me to do
I
that?
can find them. Hang on just a sec. Let me,
Okay.
there they are. Okay, so here's the pillow card. All right.
So there's a total of 4. There's a towel exchange card, a water request card, a pillow card, which is like change my sheets, and a linen one as well.
What was the last one?
A linen card, so that change your linens.
Okay, so here's the towel. So it's a smaller card. So a towel on the rack means I'll use it again. A towel on the floor means please exchange.
Yeah, and just for your reference, this is how tiny that one would be printed, and this is just, I believe, goes into like a restroom, a hotel restroom.
And then, let's see, this one should be the. Okay, so that's the towel on the rack. So there's a picture of towels in the background. And then the pillow card, yeah, has the sheets on it. So place this on your pillow if you'd like to have your linens changed. Otherwise, they're supposed to wait 3 days to
Mhm.
change the linens. And then the other one was the one I showed you, which is the drinking water on request only.
Um, Two things. I hope that the hotels tell all the people that work in housekeeping, remind them, because I don't think, when we traveled before COVID, I think maybe 1 out of 10 places that we went, did they pay any attention to whether we dumped the towels on the floor or hung them back up, which we always did. They replaced them anyway. So, it's frustrating because they didn't listen or they didn't pay attention. The other thing, I like that you have that statement, please help us. I think that personal touch of, calling to help. I think if that printing were somehow highlighted, because then you're making touch with the people that are reading it
Okay.
rather than it
Mhm.
just instruction. I like the words, but maybe pop them out a little bit somehow.
Well, and Athena, I'm just thinking about it right now too. And I don't know how small you can do a QR code. But
Go ahead,
well, I was
sorry.
going to say we could maybe do some of those with a QR code that could go to just a page on our website that has kind of an information sheet for people to understand what's going on the Monterey Peninsula.
Yeah, definitely. So if there's a page already available, we could definitely make a QR code. And I'm assuming maybe like these bigger cards, we'd be
Mhm.
able to fit a little QR code, the restaurant table ones. But like these tiny guys,
Yeah, you're not going to be
I
able
don't
to do
see.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
definitely, I could definitely see like these pillow cards or the water request cards. I could definitely see a QR code going on those. We would just have to shift around some copy and stuff, but I could definitely talk to my team about that.
Okay, well, we can talk about that further, but I think that might be a good way to at least bring in the personal, this is the Monterey Peninsula story kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Do you feel like these should be pumped up a little bit? Maybe even a more action-oriented font, or just something a little more. What was snazzy? I think is Safwa's word.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely talk to my designer and see what other kind of maybe imagery or font type. I know she sticks to pretty standard font types just because that's what we do in like your branding ads, but I could have her play around more with all that kind of stuff and make it, more welcoming, more scan this QR code, learn about Monterey, kind of that welcoming feeling.
And I guess, so this would be something that's more universal. It's not just for Car Week, right? So we shouldn't.
Right.
No, this is all the
Right.
time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This would,
Yeah.
this I believe would be hospitality based and we would distribute it, or you guys would distribute it to the hospitality.
And it is really a universal problem
Mhm.
right
Yes, it
now.
is.
So that kind of feeling like Mary's talking about, it's action oriented and we're all in this together kind of and this is what we have to do.
I think of this every time I'm walking down on the rec trail, looking at the beautiful ocean. It's, water everywhere and nary a drop to drink.
Oh, we should build a desal plant.
Wow, what a great idea. Let's have it be private and public ownership. Okay, so.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think we've got,
Yeah.
we'll look at doing some other
Versions.
clean it
Yeah.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there any way you talk with other jurisdictions? Like I see this same information in San Francisco when I go to San Francisco in hotels. And this becomes more of a universal issue throughout the state of California.
Mhm.
Is there any cooperation between our publicity team and outside of this area to see what others are doing?
Well, that's kind of how we got how we got started on this to begin with. And yes, it is, you're right, Safwa, it's a universal situation at this point. The Water Management District actually requires all of these notices and requires the hotels to undertake these programs. And so, yeah, we have in the past, I think what we did at one point was had a joint messaging with the water districts in Santa Cruz and Watsonville and whatnot. So it was kind of a Monterey Bay message. This one, I think we moved more to just doing it ourselves because we ended up having to buy enough supplies to meet the needs of the Santa Cruz area, and it was costing more than what we really wanted to be spending on it, or we would have too much stock on hand and they'd had to have a need for getting more, and it was hard to coordinate that. So I think keeping it local, keeping it within our peninsula gives us the opportunity to actually showcase the Monterey Peninsula, and you know, because we are unique in some ways. So.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions or comments on this item? Well, thank you, Stephanie. That was a really good update and, you know, good chance to kind of take a look at where we are with things.
Yeah.
Maybe perk it up a little bit upcoming.
Okay.
And so then the next item, our final item today, is to view the recent fish rescue video and discuss its use. So I'll look to you for that, Stephanie.
Yeah, and we'll probably bring this to the full board as well, but you get a preview here.
We like to feel like we're in the know, so that's good.
So Dave, which one do you want, or I guess Joelle, you're taking over at this point because Joelle's going to show the two videos.
Thank
that-
you.
Yeah, so we've got
TMD
one
put together.
that the board has already seen on the Sleepy Hollow facility. But given the time, I think we'll skip that one and just go to the most recent one, which is about fish rescues that was completed a couple of weeks ago.
Joelle, do you have any idea which one that is?
No, not exactly. Is it the one that you
It's-
tried to show during our staff meeting, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay, let me bring that up. And could you all see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay. So let me...
Does it have that gigantic steelhead in it that was pictured in the paper?
No.
Or was that taken off somebody's wall? Stuff. It's like, that was incredible fish.
Let me know when you would like me to play it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, we still have the choppiness.
Huh, yeah, we do.
Ah, shoot. Well, maybe we should stop it and
Maybe if you pause and let it buffer a little bit, maybe.
yeah, I had the same problem, Athena, when I tried to do it for our staff meeting.
Let it buffer for a bit and go to the next item to see if there are any other items that we would like to see placed on future agendas. We're going to come back to the video though, right?
Yeah, we'll get back to it.
Or we'll send you a link to our YouTube page to it after this meeting.
Yeah, is it posted, Athena? Is it currently on the
Yeah.
YouTube?
It is.
Okay.
That's how I got to it. And it plays perfectly fine, so. But just while we're talking about it without looking at it, right now there's musical background, and already a couple of people have said it'd be nice to have a voiceover. So Athena, we may be talking to you about, you know, a short script or a script at the beginning and at the end, and it could stay with music in the middle.
Yeah.
And then regarding its use, this was another one of those where if we had a really good constant contact method or MailChimp method, we would have just blasted it out with the common district logo. So like when you get land watches mailers, it always has the same look and feel, but different subject matter.
Mhm.
So we would, you know, long run, we need to develop a look and feel for the district. And you get something like this that's topical because it's happening right now, drought related, and it's pretty cool. You just push it out and say, hey, take a look at this, you know, district doing fish rescues on the Carmel River, and, you know, it takes whatever 38 seconds to play. And So I think this will be the type of thing that we need to leverage better. It definitely goes to our social media, but not everybody Facebooks and
Yeah.
I don't think we Instagram. Do we Instagram? Do we have an Instagram?
Yeah,
We do?
I work
Okay.
on that. Yeah. It's actually really popular. You guys' Instagram, a lot of different districts and stuff follow you guys for inspiration, whatever it may be.
Good. Any items that are on our minds to bring up at future meetings? Okay, well, if anything comes to you, don't hesitate, don't be shy. Feel free to contact me or Dave Stolt with your ideas. But let's go back, Joelle, and see how we're doing with the buffering. It's a bit better.
I think TMD did a great job of videoing.
Ask
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is music, but
I know when we're on Zoom and we're sharing screens and all that, it could definitely slow down the
Yeah.
buffering
Yeah.
and the sound. But
yeah, same thing happened Friday morning at staff meeting. So
yeah, I think it's something to do with, like I said, the Zoom sharing screen.
Yeah.
This is
but
just,
you guys get the gist of it.
oh my God, it's like something out of the 1890s.
Well,
Oh,
that's
no,
because
this is,
that's because Prospector Corey there with his beard and his hat.
I
There's your
was doing that
crawdad.
about 30 years ago, Mary. I did that in graduate school.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Yeah. The boots and falling into the water, etc.
TMD actually did don waders and get into the water, I believe.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it was me out there, getting my boots wet and dirty.
right. You did a
I was definitely the cheerleader this day, but
beautiful-
That's a nice one.
There's a
There's
fish.
a little, it's hard to see the tail.
Yeah, and I think it would be the type of thing where, we do a voiceover intro at the front end. And then,
Thank you, Joelle.
when the rescue season's over too, we could just update it with the total number of fish that were rescued and relocated. It's going to be probably between 7,000 and 9,000 fish at the pace that they're at. So,
Is there anything visually clear about the fish releases into the ocean?
right.
Is that
So,
something to be
yeah,
filmed?
it's pretty cool. So we've released what are called kelts, which are, ready to go adults.
Mhm.
And I can't recall, I think it's been about 8 or 9 to date. And we take them over to Stewart's Cove on the other side of the state beach and let them go. But I don't think we've got any video on that.
no, I don't think TMD has done any production of releasing back into the ocean, but we could definitely, when that time comes, we could work on getting that, video and produced for you guys. And that way
Yeah.
you guys have all these different really cool pieces of what you guys do, and we could use it for multi-purposes. And like you said, add VO, add music, add whatever it may be.
Yep.
And that won't happen until when we're releasing fish out of the facility. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah.
Right. It's just been the
Yeah.
few that were sized kelts ready to go that
Mhm.
we did, but they'll do, large scale fish releases. If it starts raining in October, then once the rains start and they reconnect the river to the lagoon.
Mhm.
But there has been talk of keeping them in the facility on into December. So we shall see.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
we'll send you the link so you can see what this looks like on your own.
Great.
screens.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the feel good upbeat moment of this meeting, but buffered to death.
Come on, surely there's something good. we can take a lot of good things away from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
The comments that, and how we're going to move forward. Taking
Oh, yeah, we've got some good direction. Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
great.
Well, nothing else on anyone's mind, then I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting with the reminder that our next meeting is going to be August 23rd at 4 o'clock. And will we still be Zooming, or will we be hybriding, or will we be in person?
It depends on where things are going. So I don't know if you saw San Mateo County is a full mask mandate for inside public buildings. The state is talking about proof of vaccination for healthcare workers and state employees. So I think we'll probably still